It did not take so long for Google Chrome to get hacked again with the same type of memory vulnerabilities. This time, we've got two vulnerabilities, V8, the one targeting V8 component, classic memory corruption, and another one targeting the SKIA, the rendering engine in Google Chrome that's basically connected with displaying HTML pages, CSS, and SVG images. Now it is getting more serious, right? So let's have a look at what's going on. These two vulnerabilities are basically very critical because they exploit two main components in Chrome. The first component is the SKIA 2D graphics library. That's the graphics library responsible for rendering images in SVG format, CSS, and HTML. And the other component is the V8, which we got used to the fact that it always gets exploited, or we sometimes, hear vulnerabilities from time to time targeting this component, V8, which is the Chrome's JavaScript and WebAssembly engine. Okay. Now what happens, the attacker chains these two vulnerabilities together to achieve full system compromise. So these two vulnerabilities are basically chained together, meaning the attacker exploits both of them at the same time, meaning simultaneously, in order to achieve full system compromise. Exploiting one of these alone will not affect the user's endpoint. What versions are affected by these two vulnerabilities? Remember that these two vulnerabilities were basically disclosed and revealed 5 days ago. So they're basically fresh. They mainly affect all the Chrome versions prior to this version, 146 ending with 75, right? Now, let me check my version because I have not updated my Chrome recently. So if I go to settings and check the about, so it is 146, okay, ending with 80. So probably I am fine. So that's how you check the Chrome version, okay? Go to about, make sure that your version is starts with 146 and ends with a number here that is above 75. If it is 75 or below, you have to update now. So how it works in a real scenario, the attacker first would create a page, okay? And inside the page, they would insert an HTML, SVG, or Canvas payload, just a regular web page, okay? Regular innocent web page. Then they would send this page to the victim. The victim or the user here would look at the page as just any other link or any other page, right? They would click on the link without any interaction. Once the link is clicked, the payload the attacker inserted inside the page gets executed, which means in the first stage, the attacker will get access to the memory of the renderer. That's one. Next, after that, the next vulnerability is exploited automatically, meaning now the attacker escapes the sandbox tab of the browser and get to full system compromise. Because usually when you open a URL, the URL basically gets opened in a tab, right, on your browser. Now, when the attacker gets access, read-write primitives on the renderer, and then they will be able to escape the sandbox via the vulnerability in V8, they will move from tab access to full system compromise. That's how these two vulnerabilities are chained together. So if a user has basically, if their browser is vulnerable to this vulnerability, right, the OOB, right, but the V8 component is not vulnerable, which rarely happens, by the way. If your browser is vulnerable to the first vulnerability, the OOB right, it is basically automatically vulnerable, or it means the V8 component is also vulnerable, which means the browser is basically vulnerable automatically to these two vulnerabilities. That's why Chrome basically patched these two vulnerabilities at once. They have not patched the first one and then said, well, oh, later we're going to patch the next one, because they are basically chained together. Now let's have a look at a proof of concept that's basically conceptual, okay? It is not really proof of concept, but if you're developing some proof of concept for testing purposes, you may actually take a look at this example. So here, I'm first basically trying to exploit the first vulnerability here by triggering out of bounds right. So I scroll down here, we define a filter, okay? We name it maybe F1, okay? That payload basically is an SVG payload that gets triggered when an attacker visits your page. So basically, this is a URL that contains a web page. The web page contains an SVG element, a picture, okay? Inside, I define my payload. So here, I define F1 as the filter ID. And next, I defined here in the in, what I do, I basically define a heap groomed reference. Basically, here, I'm trying to control the renderer memory layout before the active exploitation of the vulnerability. Then what I do here, through the malformed DIM, I basically pass a malformed or oversized dimension. Okay, through basically the filtered element we created earlier here in the F1. Okay, now basically here what happens, this triggers the out of bounds right, which caused basically during the filter processing or the calculation of size or even the buffer allocation in the renderer. That's basically classic This exploits classic memory corruption from improper bound checking or maybe even unsafe buffer sizing. Now, to create a heap-groomed object, okay, and to insert it here in the SVG, you will have basically to create something similar like this routine. In this routine, we basically go through 2 stages, or maybe even 3 stages. First stage here, we start spraying, okay. With a for loop defined with specific size, we basically create an array that allocates many same size chunks. This basically creates a uniform region of heap objects of identical same or identical size class. Next, free every other to create controlled holds. Now, controlled holds basically is setting every other entry to null. Okay, this frees half of these. Okay, at the end, you will have created some pattern where you will have basically regions of allocated and free holes. Okay, these freed slots are reusable holes of known size. Okay, that's the thing here of heap groomed objects. Now, the last stage here is we call it the deterministic reuse. So when the variable path, which is represented by the trigger skia render, performs the new allocations, the allocator here tends to reuse those freed slots first, the same size class we created earlier. Now, the attacker expects a sensitive object or buffer related to the render to be placed exactly in one of these holes. Now, here's the thing. The out-of-bounds write from the malformed SVG, okay, what happens, it basically overflows from its buffer into adjacent holes we created here. Now, this basically now occupied by a predictable object. Now, because here our placement is now somewhat controlled, the overflow here can corrupt specific fields like length, type, or pointer. That's my proof of concept for the overflow or the heap overflow. Now, when we come to the proof of concept for the V8, it is basically the same or works similarly to other V8 vulnerabilities we have explained in the past. Check out the video description where I put a link of the latest V8 Google Chrome bug before this one. And lastly, I will basically explain the indicator of compromise. So here, when a Google Chrome process spawns command line or PowerShell or Libre script or CS script, that basically is a classic indicator of compromise because Google Chrome doesn't usually spawn these child processes. This indicates that Chrome is executing system commands either by using CMD or PowerShell. Now, as for the network connections, if you spot weird network connections, they will come from Chrome, and the destination port will be non-standard port like these. And basically, the destination domain will not be Google or gstatic because when you launch Chrome, you are basically communicating with websites, right? Now, usually websites do not operate on these ports. If you see these ports in your Process Explorer or maybe even Network Monitor, you basically have a classic indicators of compromise that Chrome is attempting to communicate or doing some weird behavior. Okay, at the end, here is a timeline of this vulnerability. So it was first reported on March 10, this month. Okay, next, Google has basically released the update 2 days later. Now, 2 days later is typically a good response time. Usually vendors, depending on the complexity of the vulnerability, may take from 5 days up to weeks of fixing a vulnerability. So 2 days is relatively fast. 13 March, the CISA added the 2 vulnerabilities to the non-exploited vulnerabilities catalog. 14 March, 4 days prior, we started to see proof of concepts on the internet. However, I haven't found any workable proof of concept on the internet. And 27 March, they have basically, it is the deadline for the vendor to update the vulnerability. Well, Google has patched the vulnerability on 12 March. So make sure that your browser is up to date. So that was it, guys. I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you later.